I mean, pretty fun to drive, not gonna lie. Hey everyone, today we have a 2026 Subaru Forester Wilderness, so the most rugged off-road oriented variant of Subaru's compact SUV. Now, you may ask, what does it give us? Because we see all other compact SUVs having those off-roadish trims with plastic cladding and more aggressive styling. Well, Subaru actually gives you a lot. So we have different approach and departure angles for better off-road capability. 17-inch rims wrapped in Yokohama Geolandar all-terrain tires. 235 60 R17. We also have some suspension modifications, increased ground clearance to 9.3 inches, revised transmission and all-wheel drive system tuning, including a temperature sensor for the rear differential, just so you don't overheat the car when you go off-roading. There's also some couple of styling cues. Looks like this gold is the theme of the Forester's Wilderness. A couple of accents here and there. We can tow up to 3,500 pounds. Here's our gas cap. Obviously it takes regular. We have a 2.5 liter Boxer 4-cylinder that's naturally aspirated, makes 180 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. For 2027, Subaru added a hybrid variant of the Forester Wilderness, which should average around 30 miles per gallon, and that becomes a pretty interesting daily. And also, since it's a hybrid, it addresses one issue that Forester has, and not a lot of low-end torque, so it's gonna help with everyday driving and make it a little bit more peppy. When it comes to pricing, it starts at $38,000. If you get one optional package, which is called optional package, gives you digital gauge cluster, navigation system, power lift gate, the price will go up to $41K, including destination. You can take a quick look under the hood and see what's going on there. Nothing much, as this is just a classic Subaru's Boxer 4 setup. Lots of space, everything is very easily accessible. The fluids that you can fill in are labeled in yellow, very easy to access oil filter, and the basic maintenance should be pretty easy to do here. Obviously, as always, we have a CVT on board, which puts down the power to all four wheels. The default torque split is 60-40, so 60% of power will go to the front axle, 40% will go out back. Let's talk about the interior real quick. The front seats are average, not the most comfortable. The cushions are pretty short, and being 6'1", my legs hang in the air. We do get two-way power lumbar support though, and this synthetic material which is water resistant. Great idea, especially in the Wilderness model, but the con is it doesn't breathe that well. So if you are more of a sweaty person, after an hour of driving, you'll notice that. Their pockets aren't huge, but you can fit a bigger water bottle. The front windows are fully automatic, up and down. The rear ones aren't. Super easy step in height, as you expect from a Forester. And let's start this thing up and talk about the interior space. First thing I will tell you for sure, I love how I feel inside. It gives you that old school feeling. We have huge windows, great visibility up front, to the sides, out back. It's just amazing to drive a brand new car that has great visibility throughout the entire cabin. Besides that, it's a Forester. It's not gonna wow you with its interior quality like a Mazda CX-50 or Volkswagen Tiguan, but it is very functional. We have good amount of storage across the cabin, area under the armrest. Here's our glove box. We can take a quick look at the sticker that we have for this thing. 26 combined MPG, 24 in the city, 28 on the highway, so checks out. This is what I've been averaging. Base price before destination is $37,000. Option package, 22. So we get the navigation system, Harman Kardon sound system, power lift gate, and full LCD digital gauge cluster for a total price of $40,645. The stuff that has to be soft to the touch is soft, so areas where your legs hit or you touch are very nicely done. And the only problem that I have with the Forester, and you may already know, is the technology implementation. Subaru has never been a tech-heavy company when it comes to technology, and it shows. This infotainment has been out for a couple of years and it has to go. I was really hoping that with the 6th generation Forester, they would use the infotainment that the new Outback has. Didn't happen. It's pretty laggy. Once it boots up, it's working, but it's about time to change it. We have some of the basic information displayed up here on top. This always stays static, and our climate control. We also do get physical climate controls for temperature from our rear defrosters. It doesn't have a 360-degree camera system, which you would expect from an off-road trim. We do get a 180-degree camera up front and in the back. Not the best, but hey, it can help in some scenarios. You can shut it off. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto can be used wirelessly, and they're also a little bit laggy, but hey, that's Forester for you. It's never been a tech-heavy vehicle. What it does its job very well as a daily. It's super easy to use, good amount of physical controls. We can take a quick look at this customizable gauge cluster. You can change what it displays by holding the I button on the steering wheel. So that's what you have, your navigation map. It's not gonna be Google Maps or Waze. From wireless phone projection, it's gonna be a built-in system. And here we have a driver assistance view. Some other options that you can change by toggling that switch. Manual rear view mirror. Good amount of storage for sunglasses, and pretty well executed cabin that feels rugged and you don't have to worry about getting it dirty. The rear door opens very wide, which is useful when you have kids. Also easy step-in height, some extra storage in front seats, a little bit harder materials in the back, but that's okay, you're not touching those every day. We do get climate vents, USB type C and A, blanks for heated rear seats. The Forester Wilderness doesn't get heated outer seats, which would be cool to see, and it also doesn't get heated steering wheel, which I think is a miss. Rear armrest with cup holders, and we can also adjust the angle of the seats by pulling this strap over here. So for better comfort, you can extend a little bit of extra space, and a very attractive design with gold accents and those Subaru Wilderness tags that remind you that you have a special model. Easy to access ISOFIX points, so also great thing for parents. And let's take a look at the cargo area. We do get this cargo cover. You know what, I'm not gonna take it out right now, but decently sized trunk with some back hooks, 12-volt power outlet. Here's the subwoofer for our Harman Kardon sound system, and dual floor design with not a full-size spare tire, but more than a compact. Let's see, what size is it? I want to say 225 60 R17. So yeah, a little bit smaller than what we have mounted on the car right now, but also great to see. You can also fit the cargo area very easily under the floor if you don't want to use it. And we get this rugged mat. Also super easy to drop the seats from the second row. I think the seat belt is holding this. Boom, there we go. We got a pretty practical trunk. All right, let's put everything back in its place and explore some wilderness. I mean, yeah, the whole state of New Jersey is one big wilderness. And take a quick look at the rear view camera. Yeah, pretty low resolution for a brand new car, but I'm not gonna complain. So this is the first time I'm driving a 6th generation Forester, and as someone who has a 4th gen in the family, my dad has one, I actually recommended him that car, I can tell that Subaru made a huge progress compared to the 4th gen. First of all, the engine calibration and tuning is far better. It still feels a little bit sluggish, but they improved the responsiveness of the engine. The transmission calibration is better as well, and the gas pedal,
no longer works like an on and off switch. That's something that annoys me whenever I have to drive my dad's Forester, is that you slightly press the gas and the car just jumps. It doesn't necessarily go faster or gain power, but it lacks the smoothness and refinement that this new 6th gen has. With this revised engine, Subaru also made some adjustments to tuning, so the torque curve is a little bit better, the car delivers power a little bit smoother, so one big problem that I had has been addressed. Also, the other thing, drive quality and the overall refinement also is far better. The suspension is on a softer side, so you're not gonna be able to attack corners aggressively and take a full advantage of that symmetrical all-wheel drive. But we have a pretty decent amount of mechanical grip. Whenever you have to drive a little bit aggressively, you can tell that the center of gravity is a little bit lower thanks to the Boxer engine, and I must admit, it's a very well driving SUV, not inspiring. It's not something that you buy out of passion. Many people buy Foresters just because they need a simple method of transportation. But with all the changes they made, it's very good. The cabin isolation is far better. We still get a lot of wind noise. That's just the nature of this boxy shape of the Forester, but the road noise levels are pretty acceptable, even with all-terrain tires that we have on the Wilderness model. Now, when it comes to drive modes, we don't really have any. We can change the calibration of the whole powertrain. We have intelligent drive mode and sport sharp. We can also put the transmission into manual mode and see how this thing behaves. We have 8 virtual gears to choose from, and yeah, safe understeer as it always is with Subarus. The steering doesn't provide us much feedback, but the front end is pretty responsive. Lots of body roll, but obviously that's not what you're buying the Forester for, especially the Wilderness models. I will say though, good amount of mechanical grip. The engine lacks torque and it's very noticeable. I haven't had a chance to drive the hybrid variant, and I'm curious how that will do, how that electric motor fills in the lack of that torque. All right, let's see how this thing does on an unpaved road. We can put it in one of X modes. We have normal, snow, dirt, deep snow and mud. Let's say it's snow and dirt. It makes the throttle much less responsive. But it's super fun. I think the mode's gonna deactivate itself past 25 miles an hour. That's okay. We can attack this hill here. It's nothing crazy, most crossovers can do it, but let's see. Super easy. Alrighty, let's put it in drive. E-brake on, so we don't put extra stress on the transmission. And look at that. Those 9.3 inches of ground clearance really help, and I think this is the most that you can get in any compact CUV. Alrighty. Let's go back and drive. Wow, that seems like a piece of cake. Oh, we got hill assist, which slows this thing down. We can get this thing a little dirty. I have to take pictures. So let's kind of give it a little bit more character. But wow, on this unpaved road, the suspension is just amazing. Super smooth, perfectly soaks up all bumps. And this is what you're gonna be doing. Well, I was saying how cool the Wilderness is, and there is somebody in the Chrysler 300C driving on this road. Well, I feel embarrassed now. Let's go over those branches. I mean, pretty fun to drive, not gonna lie. I would love to see a turbo engine from the Outback XT, and that would make it a pretty cool rallycross SUV. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about this thing. If you guys have any questions about it, drop a comment. As always, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.